Thank you very much, Mr. Green. I'd like to thank the Journalists and Writers Foundation for inviting me to be here. And it's a very important moment in history. And I feel that the private sector is going through unprecedented times with the issue of jobs. It is a new era of online engagement, but I think it has considerable risks and some opportunities as well. Most people are working remotely. Over 50% of those in the working population, it is estimated, are working remotely now. And some recent surveys showed that 70% of those people are actually not complaining and believe their efficiency may be going up. Of course, there are about 30% who are unhappy with that in terms of the working population. The other side of it is, of course, many jobs have been lost and many more jobs could be lost depending on how long this recession goes on. And I think that the toll on mental health, on interpersonal relationships, and I think the excess burden on women in terms of dealing with the work from home model are all things that are going to have significant long-term impacts unless we address them sooner rather than later. In terms of education, which our foundation is very focused on, more than 1.2 billion young people are out of school. That's a huge number on the planet that people are now accessing e-learning, e-education is booming. But the reality is that only 59% of the world's population has access to internet. 41% still doesn't have access to the internet. So there's a huge divide, a digital divide that again could have significant repercussions over the next few years unless we are able to deal with that in some thoughtful ways. For us, looking at the world today, the issue that really worries us is that of jobs. How are we going to create enough jobs to deal with the trifecta of effects that are all coming together? The COVID impact on the economy, slowing economies, people losing jobs, people going into the model of a gig economy with very little job stability. And that loss of jobs is also being exacerbated by technology. Technology is also coming in at the same time, digitalization, artificial intelligence, and many other things, which will create many jobs, but are also destroying many jobs at the same time. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for the people that lose their jobs to learn and adapt and reskill for the new economy that is being developed, particularly those mid-career professionals that will find it hard to retool and restructure their knowledge appropriately and fast enough. The world population is growing, and if you take the next decade, we estimate that we need to create 1 billion more jobs. Again, how are those jobs going to be created? The government is all governments are pumping significant capital into the economy to try and keep growth going, to try and protect their economies, to try and fund public construction projects and other projects. And that will have an effect. But the question is, will it have enough of an effect to counter the significant loss of jobs that we foresee on the planet? COVID itself, we estimate, has caused a loss of about 500 million jobs worldwide. And if you look at the need for another 1 billion jobs on top of that, the creation of new jobs as well, how many of these jobs will come back? There's a real gap there. And we believe that one of the only ways to deal with that gap is actually to encourage entrepreneurship globally, to create a new mindset amongst young people and older people on the planet, that the age of stable corporate employment may be moving to an age of an entrepreneurial mindset where everyone starts to think like an entrepreneur. Everyone starts to encourage collaboration and entrepreneurial sort of cooperation, and to work together and to not waste resources globally, but to actually team up and to think about best practices in different parts of the world. And rather than trying to just create something on the basis of very little knowledge, to share the knowledge and to try and keep improving on the models that exist out there, whether it is in pure enterprise, venture enterprise, or even in social enterprises. Job creation in countries like India, we need to create 1.3 million jobs a month for the next 30 years. That's a huge challenge. And on top of that, now we have COVID and the slowing down of the economy, borders being closed in many parts of the world. And although governments are valiantly trying to create create economic growth through infusions of monetary support into the economy, we believe that actually the key is going to be entrepreneurial energy being unleashed, entrepreneurs working together. We are working with many other foundations to create something called the Entrepreneurship Sports Generation. It's about bringing entrepreneurs together around the world and making entrepreneurship something that's not seen as an elitist province, but something that everyone can participate in. The democratization of entrepreneurship, I would call it, rather like sports is a very democratic architecture around the world. Everyone feels that they can watch, they can play, they can be involved in the sporting architecture around the world, whether it's football, FIFA, the Olympics. We think entrepreneurship should be seen in the same light, where everyone can play, everyone can be involved. And actually, by that collaborative, competitive spirit, we can actually try and restart and give some kind of a fillip to the economy globally to create more jobs. Because that, to me, is the biggest concern in the next 5 to 10 years. And we believe that all of us need to hold hands together to do the best we can to create jobs on the planet. As we all know, entrepreneurs create jobs at twice the rate of corporations. Small and medium-sized enterprises employ the vast majority of people on the planet. Over 90% of the people on the planet are employed by small entrepreneurs. And so I think that we need to do the best we can to find a way not only to encourage global entrepreneurship, get government support behind that, but also to really educate our young people to think with a new mindset for entrepreneurship and an entrepreneurial mindset in whatever they do. I think the age of stable jobs, may be redefining itself. And I think that's what worries us and keeps us up at night. I once again thank everyone very much for giving me the chance to speak. And I look forward to engaging in the question and answer session. Thank you very much, Mr. Green.